Alright.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Anish, and I welcome you all to this session. I'm here on behalf of the National Law Training Institute, and today we have among us Smriti, who scored a whooping score of 108 in the NLSAT 2023. So she'll be sharing her insights into this exam and also guiding the future aspirants regarding how to approach the exam. So, handing over to Smriti, how about a quick introduction? Where do you come from? Which course did you pursue in your undergrad, and what made you choose law and ultimately crack an LSAT?
Alright. I'm from Ranchi. Ranchi is my hometown, but I was pursuing my undergrads from Delhi University, Kirodimal College, Delhi University, in the English Honours course. Apart from that, why law and why NLSAT? I would say that since 11th grade, I wanted to do law. I gave CLAT twice, but I mean, I was very rigid that I wanted to go in the top 3, 5 NLUs, and I couldn't get into that honestly. So I chose to give just pursue undergrads from Kirodimal College. 2 years into that, I came to know from a friend that NLS is starting its 3 year law program, and surely it was a very mixed feeling because I never thought that I would be able to go into NLS again, I would get that opportunity again, but it did happen. I was in connection with a lot of students who gave NLSAT the previous year. I was in connection with them. I was talking to them constantly about how to prepare and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, that's why law, because since always, but just saying that I've always been obsessed with this exam just because I knew that I think this was the last opportunity that I could get into NLS. And I think a person who's given CLAT and not been able to clear that, I think for them this exam was very, very important. Yes.
So it's usually correct when they say third time is the charm. So after
I
two
mean,
failed attempts, glad. Yeah, you were finally able to crack NLSAT and get into NLS.
yes.
Yeah. So yes. So now, since you always wanted to come into CLAT and also crack NLSAT now, so when did you actually start preparing for NLSAT exam sincerely? Like a lot of people might have started from now, even now, like for the next exam. So, but what was your ultimate decision? When did you start preparing for NLSAT properly, leaving behind your college academics a little bit, and primarily focusing on the this exam?
Yeah, so I think before we delve into how to prepare, I think it's important to understand what to prepare and what preparation for this exam in itself entails. Which means that this is not an exam like CLAT that you can prepare it, you can give a lot of time in a day, and maybe you want some guidebooks and you want certain things that you do when you get into this college or crack this exam. I think like because I think the quality of this paper is really high, which means that it only takes students that actually have those skills, that aptitude. They're not really looking for people who who can work hard for 6 months and get into this into the college. If you know how to prepare for it, you can. But yeah, a lot of people ask, what books should we read and what course book or what guidebooks should we have. There's really no guidebook for this exam because this is a purely and a very high quality aptitude exam, which means that a person who's possibly not prepared anything, maybe just a rational person who's reading a newspaper every day, they can crack this they can crack this exam as easily as someone who is prepared for a year. That's how aptitude based it is, which means that uh, the grasp that you have on your language, the kind of articulation skills that you have, the kind of how fast you can read, how good your writing skills are, and most importantly, how easily you can find nuance within topics, how easily you can find analysis within those topics. Those are the kind of aptitude that you develop through childhood, right? So
Right.
when I say that my preparation kind of started from November, but not really in a very serious manner because my semester exams were there. I was juggling with both of those things. Seriously, it started from January. I started reading the newspaper thoroughly, reading all editorials, going ahead and making notes of the newspapers. That's something that I had developed that habit through CLAT also. So newspaper reading is something that people find difficult, but I think that if you want to get into this exam, a very good way is to read a newspaper. I was reading the Hindu. Many people read Indian Express. Both of them are equally good. You can refer to any one of them. But apart from that, you read a lot of newspaper and you try to understand what this exam wants from you, and you try to learn how you can be better prepared for this exam. um, Another thing that's really important, that was really important for me, or that really helped me, was that I was a part of the debating society of Kirorimal College. I've been debating throughout my life, and I got into
Right.
Delhi University through the ECA debate quota. So I was part of the circuit. Actually came to know about NLTI because, or possibly enrolled into it because him and someone was there, kind of legend in the circuit. So
Yeah.
we knew him, and uh, literally because NLTI is just a year old, and there was not a lot of, we did not know what are the results, what is the content, but because we
Yeah.
knew that NLS students are making it, and we knew that like also Hemant was involved with it, we were like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Because I think I saw a lot of videos on YouTube of different coachings, and I mean, I really do not feel that it was what I wanted. Like, I did not feel that that is what that made sense to me, like a little bit, but not to the level that I wanted it to make sense. And
Right.
I remember the day that Hemant came out with the video, I watched it and I felt that, okay, someone is making sense now of this exam, like how this exam, especially the part B, really, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Part A is mainly the same, and every coaching can do that. But the part B, the most sense that it could make was Hemant's video. And I think people should really watch that video if they want to know how exactly you're supposed to do part B. And I digress a bit, so please bring me back if I talk a lot about nonsense.
No, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's actually inspiring to see that, like, you got to learn from that video, because a lot of people just watched it for like fun or just for knowledge, but they didn't really like care to go into depths of what he's saying, and what is he really making sense or not, and what difference is he making in that video by like throwing away the earlier conceptions and the stereotypes related to part B. Like, it's all legal reasoning, but he came out with the video and said it's not legal reasoning, come on, it's common sense, and it's just applying the facts to a particular question. So yeah, yeah, definitely, you were right when you said that Heman made a difference. So coming to your preparation, so what was your daily schedule? What did your daily routine look like? Did you pitch in hours every day to focus on NLSAT, or is it was an on off relationship with NLSAT? You did today, you didn't do tomorrow, like the other day, and you compensated it on the third day when you put in more hours. So how was it? Was it very consistent, or was it very full of ups and downs?
So, uh, I would say that newspaper reading is something that I did daily. And on days that I couldn't do it, I made sure that like I covered it a day ahead, or I did 2 days together if I was caught in something else. Another thing, as I said, debating, right? So I was debating every weekend before, like a month before the exam. And part B is literally debating. If anybody is aware
Right.
with the nuances of parliamentary debating, that's what you do in debating, and that's what you learn in parliamentary form of debating. So I'm sure that a lot of people go into or crack this exam who are not debaters at all, who have never done debating. But I think for debaters who have done that activity, they find part B really easy because it uh, it's easy to do it. It's something that you already have a stronghold on. So I think preparation in terms of reading is also, because like I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of novels, and if you're reading a lot every day, if you're making
Right.
sure that, even because I'm from English honors, I read a lot of like papers that somewhere cover on uh, possibly a lot of nuances that are asked within the exam too. Maybe about gender, maybe about uh, class, maybe about economy, so on and so forth. So I think the course that I was in, or the kind of inclinations that I had, made sure that I was reading a lot, or I was reading a newspaper, or for that matter debating, which really made my articulation skills better, or really made me you know understand what nuances will go in which topic. So
Right.
yeah, that made a lot of sense. But apart from that, if you're asking like a daily routine, no, I did not have one. I was just making sure that I was prepared for this exam. And I think one thing that I did was that at the end of the month, I made sure that I'm reading some compendium of any institution really, to make sure that my GK was on point, because GK is something that you have to do. Even though the exam was a
Right.
complete fuck all, because it's like Instagram
Yeah.
GK that they're asking us. But even then, you learn a lot from newspapers, editorials, opinion pieces, the essay that came in the exam about child marriage. that editorial I read in the Hindu, and the editorial that I read was an opinion piece about are they doing it correct if they're giving that crackdown in Assam. And I remembered every part of it, and I've written that entire thing in the essay. And I was so confident about my essay because that's exactly what they're asking. They're not even asking you when was the bill introduced, what is happening in the
Right.
real world. I think even people who might not have written about Assam might have gotten very good marks as long as they're analyzing why is it wrong or why is it right and so on and so forth. So yes.
Right. Yeah, so you talked about being prepared. We'll directly jump into the next question. How do you prepare for part A? Because part A is primarily reading extensive. You need to read, you need to understand what you're reading also. So, how did you go about preparing for part A? Did you also solve like GMAT passages, LSAT passages, or even CLAT mocks for that matter? Or your like inherent skills with English, that you have a way with English, being English honest student also, as well as an avid reader. So, did that help you, or did you go out of your way preparing for CLAT mocks, GMAT, LSAT passages? So, what did your part A strategy look like?
So for part A, I think what I did right now, if you ask in the past 6 months or something,
Yeah,
then yes, I was solving a lot of mocks. I also had some CLAT material from the time that I gave it back. I asked it from some of the juniors also who gave it this year. I asked them for, some of the books that they have on reading comprehension on LR. But I really got bored within a day or two because the thing is that I already had done a lot of RC and a lot of LR during the 2 years of CLAT. And I think for after that, those skills, I think then doing the mocks was enough for me. Like there wasn't really a point where I felt that, oh, I need to know more. But people who are new to this, people who have not done that before, you surely you read a lot of LSAT passages, you read a lot of GMAT passages. Like I can say that's what I did when I was giving CLAT. So you do a lot of mocks. Like if anything, you do a lot of mocks. That's
right.
the only thing that's going to matter a lot. Yes.
Got it. Also for GK, I think you touched upon GK, like reading editorials and scrolling Instagram. But what else do we need to do for acing GK?
So don't scroll Instagram, but for going through GK, what I did was I read the Hindu. I went ahead and I was one of the CLAT institutions. I was following their GK. After I enrolled into NLTI, I was following the compendiums that you were giving. Um, Apart from that, I think GK. Yeah, that's it. Like GK is like doing a compendium, reading the newspaper thoroughly. I think apart from that, there aren't really a lot of sources that you do GK from. I was sometimes watching a lot of videos on YouTube because it is just easy, you can't read so much. So sometimes you watch videos on YouTube and it makes it easier. So any source that I could get GK from, monthly GK, I try to do it from there. But yeah.
Right. So aspirants have this one last question. So in English or critical reasoning for that matter, that is primarily asked in part A, did you go through the CR, the critical reasoning theory or English theory like assumption negation techniques or other things that are usually covered in the theory part of part A? Like you need to know what assumptions are, what conclusions are, how do we reach the main idea of a passage, what is the difference between a conclusion and an inference. Did you focus like did you pay attention to all these details or did you primarily focus on solving mocks and questions?
Um, I mean, I'm not sure if, I did not consciously do that during my preparation, but I think subconsciously that's been happening throughout my preparation of within inside college or during CLAT. So I think I remember during CLAT, I have done all of this. I've done inference, I've done assumptions, I've done mean conclusion. So
Yeah.
I don't remember doing it explicitly this time, but yes, that really helps. That knowing about what inference is, what conclusion is, it just helps you bring a good set. So you don't need to go out of your way to do it. If you have one or two good videos on it, that's enough.
Right. Thank you for that. So we'll come to the part B part of the paper now. So even you talked about like part B is usually associated with a lot of stereotypes, myths that you need to know legal reasoning, you need to apply legal reasoning to answer. So and also there's a dearth of resources for part B. Like there's not a lot of material that you'll get to solve questions that are usually asked in the exam. So how did you go about preparing for the part B of the exam, and did it intimidate you? How was your preparation what was your preparation strategy for part B?
Yeah. So for the longest time, I was very confused about Part B. That was something that was eating my head every day because
Yeah.
I was looking forward to what do they want in Part B. Obviously, like everyone else, I went through a lot of YouTube videos on explaining on what Part B can look like. I knew it from just how the paper was there, and because I'd also talked from some people who had given the paper and got into NLS, I understood that Part B, they don't really need any legal terminologies. They don't need any information that you have to mug up. What they're looking for is nuances within that. So I remember that last time, I think one of the nuances was, would you let women work in factories if if the factory environment is not safe, but because of that they don't get enough pay because they're not working in the night? Is that something that you're doing in favor of women? I think when questions like these come, you have to know the nuances within debates. That comes with reading a lot of opinion pieces, going
Right.
through, understanding how gender works or how discrimination works, and possibly what is, hidden discrimination, and so on and so forth. So again, I was very confused, and I knew that anything on YouTube, until I think Hemant's video, was not making sense to me. After the video, it did make certain sense. I got to know that okay, this is something that they need. One thing that really helped me, and that's something that I'm really thankful to NLTI also, was that not only about the kind of questions that you're making in the Part B, it's also about the kind of sample pieces that you provided to us. I think that top-notch sample pieces on how answers should be in Part B, and anyone who's not gone through those sample pieces should go through it, because it's so good. And I can tell you with no doubt, that there's nothing on YouTube that can even come to compare with the kind of sample pieces of Part B that I got in NLTI course. Um, Even the idea of essay, on how to do essay, I think some idea on how the structure could be. Like the essay, you could get a lot of knowledge from editorials also, but I
Yeah.
think just the structure of it, I think that made things very easy for me. Also, there was a flip when we thought that essay would be really current affairs based and a lot of knowledge and depth about that particular topic related to facts, but then the video came from NLS, and it said that no, we're not looking for facts here. Also, we're looking just for analysis in this essay. I think that made things even easier for me, because I realized that they're not really looking for facts. I mean, I think
Yeah.
in the child marriage essay that I wrote, the only facts that I've written it is in the first paragraph. There are hardly 5 lines. I wrote about I wrote about Smriti Irani introducing a new bill for for decreasing the age of marriage. I wrote about Assam, and I wrote about when the bill was introduced. And that's all the facts that I've written within that essay. That's anything and everything that I've written. I think apart from that, all the essay is just about nuances within that debate, why you should do this,
Right.
why you should not do this. And it's nothing related to facts. So, yeah, don't think that you need to know a lot of knowledge, but I think a lot of general knowledge, possibly.
Right. Yeah. So now that the preparation is done, how do you approach the final examination day? All the stress, the panic, the depressing feelings of what if again I'm not able to clear NLSAT? What does it entail for me? What are the consequences of a failure again? So how did you approach the examination day? Did you also feel all these things going on in your mind? Did it affect your performance? It's visible that it did not, of course. But yeah, what was the entire mindset surrounding this exam on the final day?
So you'll not believe, but until the day that the result came out, I was in a call with one of my very good friends who was with me during the entire preparation. I was in a call, and we used to rant for 3 hours straight about. We started with what if it does not happen, then going through every other. I mean, I was at a point where I was like, you know what? I think there'll come a point where I have to settle with Jindal possibly, because I do not want to pay that money. Not that the course is not good, but I was like, you know what? I possibly have to go to Jindal. That's my last resort. What if nothing happens? What if Simbi does not happen? What if MHSET does not happen? What if DU does not happen? And I think I have ranted for that every day until the result came. Even the day that the result came, I was just on a talk with her. We used to talk endlessly for hours about it, because that's how anxious I was. Because both of us were obsessed with this exam and obsessed with getting into NLS. And that's why I would say that if you believe that I was not anxious, I was more anxious than anyone could have possibly been about this exam. I used to get anxious every day about what the results would be, what if I don't get in. And I think possibly how you deal with it is that you talk to someone daily. Like you rant the hell out of anything and everything that you're feeling, because I think everyone else is also feeling that. Everyone is anxious and nobody is confident that they'll get into NLS. So you talk and you try to calm yourself down. But for the final day, I mean, I don't know if that's effective, but I did this. So before the exam, 5 days before the exam, I tried to make my sleep schedule better. I was getting up a little early and trying to give the mock in the exact time schedule that it would happen on that day. So those are the some things that I did. But apart from that, I did not, like, on the last day, I kind of took it lightly. On the day of the exam also, I think somewhere you also have to make peace with the entire idea that it, even if it does not happen, it's not the end of the world. So even if it does not happen, because truly speaking, this exam, I wouldn't say that I got into this exam because I deserved it or because I have all the wisdom in the world or anything of that sort. It's possibly luck, because there's so many people did who were doing absolutely good and who were extremely talented people who could not get into it. And that just means that sometimes luck is also in your favor and sometimes you get into it. And that's why you don't take not getting into it personally. So even if you don't crack it, it's not a comment on who you are as a person. So before the final exam, I kind of made peace with that. Even if it does not happen, I'll go to a college, I'll do well in life. It's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. That takes away a lot of pressure from you. And you're able to write it in a manner that, even I remember that part A, I took a little bit more time than I had expected to, but it gives you that, calming factor that it's fine, you can go through it. You don't have to get anxious about it. So you need to be calm, surrounded by people that you feel safe with, and go and give the exam.
Yeah, that is actually very inspiring, Smriti. Yeah, I hope this will inspire people to be calm on the exam day and not worry about it too much. Of course, there will be feelings of stress, anxiety. You'll feel this might be the end of the world. What will I do? But yeah, just take note of this incident narrated by Smriti, and yeah, there are a lot of takeaways that you could take from this session. So coming to the ultimate part of this session, so do you think NLTI helped you in your preparation? Of course, you were doing brilliantly before that. Also, you were debating, you were reading. But do you think that NLTI played a role in your preparation journey? And would you recommend NLTI to your future juniors or potential NLS batchmates?
I have already recommended it to everyone who has asked me till now, and it's not because I was a part of the organized. I mean, I took mocks from you. It's because the content is genuinely A grade, and the content elsewhere is not A grade because I've seen the content elsewhere. And I mean, I would not say about like part A. Part A would be very good from of other institutions. I think possibly even questions from other institutions would also be very good. But I think the kind of potential answers that Part B could have, I think that is something that you can get better from students who have written this exam and have gone through it and are now helping you, mentoring you. So if you're getting it from students who are in NLS and who are able to, make sense of, because they're well connected with the topic, they understand what the exam requires them to, because they're also surrounded by people who have a lot of understanding about how the exam works. So in that
Yeah.
way, you get content that is, upgraded, I would say, like something that's in touch with what would actually be required. So yes, for part B, definitely.
Smriti, do you see yourself joining NLTI as a mentor now? Given that
Are you going
you,
to are you going to take me as a mentor?
why not? We would love to have you.
Oh, I mean, I would just want to say I've been teaching debating also since the past year, and I think I
Oh,
was
you can
wanting to
teach
say that,
debating also.
yeah. So I'm
How
part
how
of
how does that work? How do you teach someone to debate?
how, I mean, I think Hemant also did that with Doom Kids.
Oh,
But I
nice.
mean, so we go to schools and then, so it's an organization. It's an organization called Avaz, and I've been a part of that organization since a very long time. And we go to
Right.
different schools. So if a school that people might know would be Mayo College in Ajmer, and we go there and we teach them, like, we teach them the basics of debating, we teach them parliamentary debating, we teach them nuances of it, and all of that.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Smriti. It was a pleasure having you here for the interview. Thank you for taking out time. I know you must be very busy packing for NLS, doing all these things. And we look forward to seeing you on campus in July. Thank you so much for joining, and also look forward to having you as a mentor now.
Anish, are you a part of like the batch before us?
No, no, no. I am in my second. I was in my second year. Now I'll be in my third year, 5 year LLB course.
Okay, nice. So
Yeah,
I hope to meet you there and getting some
yeah,
guidance how
definitely.
to
We'll go on an
navigate.
NLTI. Don't worry.
Paka.
Done. Thank you so much, Smriti, for joining in. Thank you, everyone, joining in. I hope this session was useful for everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.